Hello, Seiiti Arata. Choose a job you love, and you will never work a day in your life. This was allegedly said by Confucius more than 2000 years ago in China. But what are your thoughts on the idea that you need to make a job out of what you love? Do you think that your job has to be something that brings you joy and delight? Until recently, this demand for passion-driven jobs was uncommon. Very few books recommended this until 1990. And from there on, this idea began to grow slowly, and from 1995 to 2005, it started to be promoted more and more. That's why you probably have already asked yourself whether it is necessary to love what you do for having a happy life, to enjoy your life. However, is this accurate in real life? Does your type of job really need to have a routine full of parties and happiness and emotions? Or is it alright to just have a routine job in a common office? Is your job something that you do to pay your bills and then you look for happiness in other areas of your life? Many people think of their jobs simply as an occupation, as a way of serving people and earning money in return, and that is fine. And we can even go deeper. Believing that you have to turn your passion into a career might be ruining a significant part of your life satisfaction. You see, wise minds are willing to analyze different perspectives on a specific subject before making an important decision. And that is why we're going to explore the opposite of what internet motivational coaches recommend. Instead of telling you to do what you love, let's look with curiosity at an alternative point of view. Making you happy is not the job's function. Making you happy is not your job's function. The idea that you can escape suffering in your job is just wishful thinking. In order to explain this perspective, let's imagine that you are a comic book enthusiast. Imagine that you have been reading comics like forever, and you already know all the characters, have a deep knowledge of comics. You even know how to analyze some elements such as illustration, script, and editorial work in a critical way. Despite this passion, you currently work as a lawyer, meeting clients, writing petitions, following legal proceedings are part of your routine. So that's how you make your living, that's how you support your family. And by feeling that your professional life is not very exciting, you end up getting yourself a little down. And by using social media, you start repeatedly watching motivational speakers telling you to make a career out of what you love. And this starts to strengthen the internal belief that your job has to bring you pleasure. You relate to that proverb that says, do what you love and you will never have to work one day in your life. So one day you decide to give up on being a lawyer and you start to work on comic books. In other words, you decide to turn your passion into a career. So I don't know, you create a comics review YouTube channel, an online store to recommend comic books and gain some commissions for each sale. It's done and now you do what you love. And therefore you won't have to work a single day in your life, right? Wrong. At the moment you turn your passion into a career, suffering comes along. Loving comic books is different from being capable of working with them. In your idealized dream of doing what you love, imagine that you'll spend your whole day, reading good stories and networking with great artists and meeting other comic book enthusiasts. However, in reality, your day will be taken up by a series of problems. You're going to have to script and record and edit videos. You have to deal with all types of YouTube issues. You have to assure that your online store is up and running. You will have to deal with clients and complaints of all kinds, undelivered comic books. And if your business gets big, you have to hire employees. Then you have to lead that team. You have to deal with internal complaints. You have to know when some of your team members will be absent from work or maybe even quit. And if you're not satisfied, just changing jobs will not always fix how you feel. There are plenty of people who are always changing jobs and yet they keep complaining because the main problem is in themselves, not in the work that they do. Don't keep hoping that doing what you love will magically make all your problems disappear. Believing that by doing what you love, you will not have to work again, that is a mistake. Having a job means providing services to other people, be employers or clients or employees. Every job requires effort and dedication and patience to deal with problems and frustrations. As soon as you turn your passion into a job, suffering comes along as a package deal. And you should not run away from it. Doing what you love requires a combination of passion, capability, and demand. And it doesn't eliminate suffering. You don't have to give up on the dream of turning what you love into a job. You just have to learn that if you take that step, there is no guarantee of a life without annoyances, frustrations, suffering, or problems that need solutions. It is not possible to eliminate suffering just by doing what you love. You need to be practical and analyze if following your passions professionally is truly viable. Passion isn't the only required component of a good job. And your passion for a subject can even decrease when it's no longer a hobby. If you want to turn your passion into a career, this life change needs to be based on 3 pillars: passion, capability, and demand. Passion is what you love doing. Capability is your ability to do it professionally. And demand is people's interest in paying for your capacity on a scale that enables you to make a living from it. To learn more about this, I recommend that you consider Ikigai, which I explain in the episode 140 of the Hello Seiiti Arata series, which is available in arata.se/hello140. For example, let's say that you're really into classical music. It is your passion. Now, if you don't have the ability to play an instrument, if your city doesn't have orchestras or theaters, or simply doesn't value classical music, you could hardly make a living out of it without having to move out of your city and maybe take your business online. I'm not saying it is impossible. However, the effort required would be greater. Not everyone wants to turn their passion into a career, and there is nothing wrong with that. If you have capability and demand, you can start building a successful career using this ability to serve the market's needs. On the other hand, someone who has passion and capability but lacks demand is not going to be able to make a living from their own work. Someone who has passion and demand but lacks capability is incapable of making the market pay a good price for their work. The demand pillar is key. The University of Montreal did a study on their students' biggest passions, and they found that those passions didn't have enough opportunities in the workplaces available. This is a conclusion that anyone can come up to. Usually, people who are passionate about their hobbies, which often include sports and art and games and traveling, they will notice there is not enough space in the labor market for everybody to do those things. So you're going to face serious competition in order to succeed. Suffering is part of life. Your fear of suffering may end up paralyzing your life. If you fit the intersection of passion, demand, capability, you may invest in a project of turning your passion into a career. But it is natural to have a certain fear of taking that step because you end up turning something that you love into work. And working means serving other people and getting ready to face a series of problems. Don't let fear paralyze your life. If you have already decided to do what you love, keep going with the knowledge that giving you pleasure is not the function of your job. Those who seek a job which only brings pleasure will probably not stay in that job for long. Those people will be like Rolling Stones, unhappy, thinking that a solution will always be in another job. Instead, you can dedicate yourself to your current job or even to your passion. Try to dominate this activity, giving it your best, welcoming the natural advantages and disadvantages of a job. Those who try to run away from work problems end up in a standstill, incapable of taking action. As soon as you accept suffering and you become able to draw strength from your problems, getting better with every solution, you will be ready to face any type of job, whether you're passionate about it or not. The recommendation that everyone should follow their passion and do what they love is nothing but an illusion. Just giving pleasure is not your job's function. Only wanting to do what you love limits your options a lot. And this doesn't mean that you have to give up on the idea of doing what you like. Just know that it is not something that is easy to do. If you're in this intersection of passion, capability, and demand, keep going. However, be aware that as soon as you turn your hobby into a job, the suffering will come along with this decision. You will end up realizing that your happiness doesn't depend solely on doing what you love. What does your happiness depend on then? In an ideal world, happiness doesn't depend on external factors. This is very hard to do. However, training your mind and using the right techniques will make you able to increase your happiness levels in no time. And I teach you many of these techniques in a happiness course, which you can learn more about in arata.se/happiness.